This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports. You're listening to TGI Sports Talk with your host, Keith Angle, on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Hey guys, it's Keith Angle for TGI Sports Talk right here on the Northeast Streaming Sports Network live from the Carnival Magic. We've just left the San Juan Port. Not sure how many of you will see us live here now, but with spotty internet, I'm going to do the show live now. We'll talk a little bit about the Super Bowl recap, but let me get a couple of... I won't have Carlos on with me today for the Are You Serious show, but we'll see if we can't, talk about last week's Super Bowl. I want to talk about the Major League lockout. And we'll also rebroadcast this show on Friday at 8 a.m. like we normally would. Won't be live, won't be able to take your comments then, but anybody who's here today, hopefully will feel free to put their comments up, and we'll certainly talk about the Super Bowl. I want to talk about the Major League Baseball lockout, as I said, and also this show will be set to go on Roku at noon tomorrow. I probably will not be able to make my regular appearance on the Mac and Jack show tomorrow either, so we'll see how that goes. I do not, as I said, unless Carlos shows up today. If Carlos shows up, I'll invite him in the room for a little bit. But if he doesn't, it'll be just us chatting about the Super Bowl and the Major League Baseball lockout. So let me get to where the comments will come up. So anybody who is in here live, I hope feel free to comment. Keep in mind, with me traveling, it's caused a little bit of an issue. We've done our shows live Wednesday night or Wednesday afternoon, and then rebroadcast it live. I'm doing the same thing with this show. Good morning, Alan. How are you today? What's Alan got to say? Get these glasses off. Harbaugh got an extension with Michigan. Yeah, we saw that. I saw that too. We'll try to talk about that Sunday. What I was going to start to say there, Alan. As far as the rest of this weekend, I'm traveling. Again, I'm on the Carnival all day Friday, all day Saturday. Sunday show, I'm going to try to do live. We're going to be at the airport probably from noon to 3. So from United, we've got some passes to the VIP lounge. So I'm going to try to do the show live at 12 o'clock or so. So everything will be live. The Facebook show will be live. Or the Facebook feed will be live, the YouTube feed will be live, and we'll be live on Roku for the first time. So we'll try to do all of that come Sunday, and we'll cover all of that, all the news, rather than, for anybody who wasn't able to comment either on the Wednesday night show for college basketball or college football, or today's show about the Super Bowl and Major League Baseball, we'll certainly talk more about that stuff Sunday. For as long as we can. So welcome, Alan, this afternoon, and I'm glad you could make it. Anybody else that's with us, feel free to comment as well. I want to kind of finish up and talk about the Super Bowl. Let's see, do I have a banner to kind of put up for this or not? I don't know that I do. I should have put some banners together today, and I didn't. So I guess I don't really have anything I can put up, so... let's just dive into it. So we know the Rams won this game 23-20, right? I don't know that it was any different than I expected the game to be. The Rams were just unable to run the football at all. I believe they ran the ball 20 sometimes for 43 yards. They averaged about $109. Little shocked they didn't try to use Sony Michel more in this game. He only ran the ball, I think, 2 times. Again, not able to catch everything that was going on and hear everything that was going on with the feet on the ship. I did not hear that he was injured. If anybody has other information, they can let me know. But, it didn't hurt the Rams in the end. But, how they kept giving up on Cam Akers, who was a great story, as we've talked about, coming back from this Achilles injury. But, look, they need to be able to throw the ball more. But the big stories in this game for the Rams on the winning side of the football, to me, Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford cement a more positive, obviously, legacy for themselves. Matthew Stafford languished, as we all know, for a dozen years in Detroit, 3 playoff games, did not help them, I don't think, win any of those. And I know that we've had some debate about whether Stafford was a good quarterback, wasn't a good quarterback. Well, we found out with a good team he could play very well. Played very well on Sunday and throwing for 213 yards. I'm sorry, that was those aren't his stats. 283 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions that turned out to be inconsequential at the end. But he played pretty well, all in all. And Sean McVay, played a great game. I think probably outcoached Zach Taylor, because Zach Taylor made some calls that I thought were a little strange, especially a couple of short yardage situations. He doesn't have his best running back, Joe Mixon, in the game. He gives the ball to Perrine. I don't understand those calls at all. Let's see what else we got here. Alan's more shocked. Aaron Darnold didn't get MVP. Cup played that's a pretty good comment, I think, Alan. I'm sliding down here. Cup did play a great game. His only really faux pas, I think, was the bungled Philly special that he missed Stafford. Stafford was wide open, but I'll tell you what, it might be best that he didn't complete that, because while Stafford was open, was going to get a first down, he was going to get leveled by the Bengal defensive back there. So maybe best that they didn't complete that. Cooper Kupp had 2 touchdowns in the game. Offense tends to get the light shined on it more in these situations, and I'm not saying it's rightfully so. I think Aaron Donald dominated from start to finish in this game, and they went, especially from the time there was a little sideline skirmish when he had chased Burrow out and pushed him out of bounds early in the second half. I want to say it was. He certainly, I think, took over this football game, and that entire Rams defense as well. Joe Burrow played pretty good football. 22 of 33, 213 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions, played pretty good football. But you cannot get sacked 7 times in a Super Bowl, 19 times, by the way, through the playoffs, which is a record. The previous record was 12. So not just sacked a record number of times, you're a third again higher than any previous record. So again, Joe Burrow just harassed, as I said, 7 times he was sacked, 11 times he was hit, constantly running for his life. Joe Burrow did everything he could to win this football game. The Bengals had some other pretty good performances as well. Mixon ran the ball, I thought, ran for 72 yards. And again, very oddly, Zach Taylor not giving him the football in 2 clutch short yardage situations. I did not understand. He didn't get him involved in the passing game at all, which Mixon has done very well over the years. I think he may have had 1 catch. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he only had 1 catch. And, you're not going to win the Super Bowl, especially when your quarterback is being harassed the way he was the entire game without getting those short passes and quick hitters out there. Higgins had a pretty good game, 4 for 100, but 75 of that, let's not forget, was on that touchdown pass right out of the half, which obviously was a penalty. Just a horrible missed face mask and just throwing to the ground of Jalen Ramsey. Now, I always tell you, you cannot blame referees for losing games, right? I never say referees don't call horrible games and have an outcome, have a huge, what's the word I'm looking for, guys? Jesus, have a huge impact on the outcome. But this was just a horrendous play, and there was some horrendous calling penalties called down the stretch as well, as the Rams scored the final touchdown. So neither one of these teams, certainly the Bengals as a loser, should be complaining about the refereeing costing them the game. Does not mean the game was well refereed. It was not done well at all. Let's see what Alan's got to say here. Had Burrows had more time on that fourth down, he would have had Jamar. Yeah, he would have had Jamar Chase wide open again. As well as Burrow's played, Burrow's numbers would have been through the roof if he'd had time to throw the football, Alan. And this was just not a good performance again by this Cincinnati offensive line. They were not good throughout the playoffs, and it's certainly a place. And they knew this going into the season, the Bengals, right? They made a decision. They didn't have a good offensive line last year. It led to their quarterback getting hurt with a major knee injury in Joe Burrow last year. They made the conscious decision this year in the draft to go after Jamar Chase and not that line help. Probably the right move to make in the short term. And they're probably ahead of schedule where they thought they'd be. But this is something that's got to be fixed in the offseason for the Bengals, or Joe Burrow is going to have a very short career, and he's going to get beat up. He's going to be a shooting star like Burt Jones back in the day, and probably a bunch of other guys we could name that didn't get the type of protection that they need, and their careers were short because they got the crap beat out of them day in and day out. The Bengals had some other. Chase had 5 catches for 89 yards. Wasn't the force that he normally is, I don't feel. Higgins was a major contributor with 2 touchdowns, one of them from Joe Mixon on a very nice call in the first half by Zach Taylor. Boyd had a decent game, 4 for 48, but the rest of the receiving core was non-existent. The tight end, again, whose name is escaping me at the moment. It always does, Alan. I know you'll help me out here. Hey, we got the Philly sports guy here. Jamie, how you doing, buddy? What's Jamie got to say? I have to raise my glasses. The rest have had the same issue all year, the way they called the game and then take the flags out of their pocket on that last drive. It does look like they were it does look like they were pushing for the Rams. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. I'm certainly not one, Pags, that ever gets, and welcome, Pags. Good to have you with us today. I'm not one that ever gets wrapped up in referees, wanting somebody to win or not. But there were certainly some bad plays, and you can't, if it's payback or it's trying to even up the calls. Look, if you make a bad call, you don't try to even them up. You don't make it up in that situation. But there were some ticky-tack calls at the end of this game and that last drive for the Rams, as we all know. But again, as I say, in fact, I don't know if you hear earlier when I said it, and I've said it, I say it all the time. I say it when it happens to my team. You can never blame referees for the fact that you won or lost a game. Well, you don't blame them for winning, but you can't blame them for when you lose games, right? You can't put yourself in a position where you're going to get beat. The Bengals had plenty of opportunities. They had their own good opportune missed call on the Higgins touchdown. And if you remember, they got the ball right back in that game and really didn't do much of anything with the football when they really could have put their foot on the throat of the Rams. If they'd scored a touchdown on that drive, it would have been, a 2-touchdown game. It would have been certainly a different game as we go through it. So, pretty much what we expected. We expected Joe Burrow to get harassed all day. We were going to find out about Matthew Stafford and his ability to stand up under this type of pressure as he has throughout the playoffs. And Jamie also said, I got to take these glasses off because I can't see a damn thing. They didn't cost the Bengals the game, but it's a shame. I don't disagree. As I said, Pags, bad refereeing is not inexcusable, and these referees were not good. They were inconsistent as they were all year, as you said. Just a horrendous to me year for officiating in the NFL. And it shouldn't happen on that stage for sure. It cannot happen for sure. What do you got here, Alan? You short the Bengals have an O-line. They have an O-line to win that game for sure. You know what? This team is an offensive line, a couple of offensive linemen away from being a juggernaut. For them to have accomplished, in my mind, what they accomplished, not just during the regular season, but in the playoffs. I sounded like Jim Mora there, didn't I? In the playoffs with this offensive line and their quarterback being harassed virtually every single time he dropped back. Tremendous effort by a very gritty gritty Bengals team. And Joe Burrow, I think, is showing you exactly what you can expect to see from him for the next 15 years. Again, assuming that he stays healthy, and they need to keep him upright to do any. I shouldn't say keep him upright. They need to keep him out of the hospital for him to have that type of career. So I'm excited about the future there. You know, I thought it was a fun football game. I did bet the Bengals. I thought the Bengals would win. I actually thought about putting some money in the money line, and I didn't. I only took the 4.5 points. So I'm not upset with the outcome personally. I didn't have a rooting interest for either team. I'm happy Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford get the monkey off their backs. One of my contributors to my shows, Mark Mancini from Mancini Media, is going to have to eat some crow, but I'm sure he'll have some excuses about why the Rose did win this. Dave Guyette, good afternoon. Glad to see you here. My vacation is going tremendously. We've had some great weather, although it's a little overcast here as we leave San Juan this morning or this afternoon. But we've had a great time. As you know, we're broadcasting live right now from the Carnival Magic, and my show will air again. I'll air it again tomorrow. It's regular time slot at 8 o'clock, and also it'll be on Roku at noontime tomorrow. And then Sunday we're gonna wing it. I think we're gonna do everything live rather than go on at 9 a.m. for 2 hours on our traditional outlets. We'll be doing everything live at noon, including Roku. And we'll jump it. We're going to be doing that from the United VIP Lounge in Orlando, most likely. So we'll see how that goes. But thanks for coming in, everybody, today, so we can kind of put this show in the can and get it up live tomorrow. Glad to see you too, Pegs. Be prepared to come on for some extra time with Mac and Jack tomorrow, because I am not going to be able to make it. So I'm going to have to. I got to message Mac right after this. Send him an email and let him know that I won't be able to make it. There's been some changes in my itinerary. I will not be free tomorrow morning. What else with the Super Bowl did I want to talk about? Again, the storylines we were talking about, McVay and Stafford. I think anybody wants to comment here, I think they did a great job in changing the narrative of their careers, maybe more so with Stafford than with McVay. But McVay, look at this team had gone backwards since their Super Bowl appearance a few years ago and lost to the Patriots. And they decided to mortgage their future the last couple of years. And they don't have, we talked about this the other day, they don't have a first round draft pick for a long, long time. So you're co-hosting tomorrow, are you, Pegs? Who's, I assume Jack is unavailable, eh? So, well, I'm going to send Mac a message, and you can certainly let him know when you guys go in. I will not, unfortunately, be able to get on tomorrow at 9 o'clock. It's just not going to work tomorrow. So at least he's got you to help carry that load. What other stories from OBJ? Odell Beckham Jr., you know, he seemed to turn things around with the Rams, you know, whether it's a mirage. He had some ups and downs. He had some really good performances. At least he was well-behaved, or appeared to be, from the outside or from the country. He had a really good first half with a couple of catches for 50-plus yards Sunday before he had a devastating injury, which, again, will probably impact him not just, on the field next year, but also in the pocketbook. And it's amazing. It'll be interesting to see where he shows up or ends up. And it's too bad, because it looks like he may have been turning a corner in his career. We're never going to know for sure until he gets back on the field again and see how he if he has changed that the way he approaches the game. So we'll see. A problem. And he was a problem. Was he the problem in Cleveland? Was it Baker Mayfield? Who knows? We're about to find out, I think, a lot about OBJ here in the next year, a year and a half, however long it takes him to rehab this knee injury and get himself on another team and see how it goes from there. Cooper Kupp, look at outstanding him. He's solidified himself as one of the top wide receivers in the game. Tremendous numbers this year. I think he was off the receptions, the record for receptions by 2, when he was off the record for yards by just maybe a handful. So that'll be certainly interesting to see. And the defensive pass rush for the Rams was just amazing. It was good to see. Von Miller was very active, especially the second half of this game. Aaron Donald, who we talked about, maybe should have been the MVP of this game. Some talk about Aaron Donald retiring after this game. We'll see how that plays out. I did read an article this morning that kind of alluded to the fact that he would be back with McVay, because there were some rumors about McVay this week, don't forget, as well, before the game, that if he had won, he may walk away, because there's a bunch of money available in TV contracts for some of these guys as we go forward and things start to get negotiated with Amazon and ESPN getting involved more with negotiating for Al Michaels, who's now a free agent and will not be returning to NBC next year. Mike Tirico will be taking his place. So big bidding war for Al Michaels between most likely ESPN and Amazon, or maybe a combination of the two. There's been talk about McVay being involved in some of those conversations. There's talk about Troy Aikman getting lured away from Fox for Tony Romo type money with either Amazon or ESPN, and teaming him with Al Michaels. So there'll be a lot of interesting stuff going on in those veins. What else? The big stories for the Bengals, obviously the growth of Burrow, he's going to be one of the top quarterbacks for a long time, as we said, if they keep him healthy. This team is a team that will not be going away, I don't think, in a year. I don't think this is a flash in the pan. They got to address that offensive line, and I think that's where you'll see the major stuff to kind of look at there. So anybody else, any other, let's see, what did you do with your offer? What did I do with my offer? My offer to host one of these sorry, I'm a little dry here. I'm still waiting for it, Jamie. If you're talking about the offer to do some of the football games, they haven't really given me much to kind of consider yet. So that's what you're talking about. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I think, all in all, though, it was a fun NFL season. A lot of surprises. My Patriots, again, I think are a year ahead of where we thought they'd be. Jamie Pagg's Philadelphia Eagles, I think way ahead. When I was early in the year, when we were joking around about some different things, I said that I thought Doug Peterson would win 9 games in the NFL again before the Eagles did, and I certainly was wrong there. That Eagles team was very competitive and probably will get nothing but better next year. To call games. I wish the offer would come, Pags. I might actually look to do play-by-play. I haven't done much of it. Most of it's commentary, and some of it gets me in trouble. And maybe I'd be better off on doing the play-by-play. But no offers are coming my way. But maybe when they see these shows live from the middle of the Caribbean, they'll understand how versatile I am. I don't know if you guys can see, but we have now, as I said, are now back in the middle of the Caribbean after a beautiful day in San Juan. By the way, beautiful day in St. Martin and St. Kitts as well this week. And we have one more stop at Grand Turk tomorrow before we have another day at sea on Saturday. And lots going on. And by the way, TGI Sports Talk had a pretty good takeaway from the Super Bowl. Not just betting on the Bengals, but also hit the final on a pretty good sized pool. With the final score of 3-0, NFC 3, AFC 0. So we're very happy about that. Let's see. Cup won Cooper Kupp did win the thing to do, and Cooper Kupp is not a guy. Cooper Kupp is. I always thought was a more of a receiver in the the Wes Welker mode or Julian Edelman mode, not Jerry Rice, not these other prolific receivers as far as yardage and touchdowns and things. So great job by him. Dave Guyette's asking about Tom Brady. No, I do not think. Here's the thing. There's been some reports about Brady. Tom Brady is never coming back to the game of football. guys, don't fool yourself. I'd be shocked. I guess you can never say never. But Tom Brady is not coming back to the game of football. He's just not. He's got too much else going on. There's nothing left for him to prove. There's zero reason for him to play anymore. And I'm sure on future shows, Are You Serious shows, when Carlos is co-hosting with me, there'll be some discussion about these things. I know he thinks he's got this infatuation with Tom Brady and about the Titans, and it'll never happen. Tom Brady is done with the game of football. If Tom Brady was going to come back, he would have come back this year with Tampa Bay, although they've got some cap issues. Now we're getting a little loud here, so we'll let that pass a little bit. So bear with me 1 second. Okay. I'm not the only guy drinking on this ship, by the way. So Tom Brady won't be returning. We know that. What do you got here, Jamie? You know what? I think you're talking about the Eagles, and I'll tell you what. Congrats, your Eagles, because whether you got to the playoffs, which is an amazing feat this year with a second-year quarterback and Jalen Hurts, who I thought was not going to be, a major player or a major difference maker in the NFL, and I was wrong there. So good thing you got me off that NFC show when you did, because I would have looked stupider and stupider as the season went on, if that's certainly a word. What else you got here? If Joe Burrow won, he'd come. You really think that, Jamie? I do not think in any way, shape, or form Tom Brady's ever coming back to the NFL. Why? The money's been made. He's got a family to raise. If you paid very close attention to Tom Brady's remarks immediately following the loss to the Rams, on that Monday, that Tuesday, he talked about all the things that he had not followed through on, the things that he promised his wife and his family, and he had not followed through on. He'd let them down, he felt. And I know that these things mean something to Tom Brady. Tom Brady's not playing for money. We know this, right? He's not even a major breadwinner in his family. If Tom Brady comes back, it's going to be because somebody tied him for 7 Super Bowls, and that means he's going to be about 60 years old, and it's never going to happen. There's no reason for him to come back. And again, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I hope if he comes back, I hope it's the New England. Although I love our quarterback. Yeah, I'm going to move on here in a second, Dave. In fact, I'm going to move on right now, unless anybody's got anything else to chat about here about the Super Bowl, which I can circle back to. I'm going to jump into. Dave's got some questions here about where's the first one? Baseball needs to get back, stop the lockout. Well, it's not going to happen right away. And your other comment here, Dave, I'll put up right now. And I guess I'll come back to your stuff here, Alan, before I'm going to move on to baseball for now, but we'll go back to the Eagles comment if we can before the show's over. Only five months till football. You may be hoping that that's what we got to look forward to because of the baseball lockout. I mean, look, this thing is now in its 78th day. They're no closer than they were because every counter proposal or every proposal that the owners put in front of the players, they shoot it down unilaterally. There's no negotiation going on. There's just, here's your offer, no. Here's your offer, no. 78 days. It's going to be a little hard to hear me now because Simon's on the loudspeaker. I guess I picked the wrong place to sit down. So you guys can tell me how badly this is covering up my voice. 78 days we're into this lockout. 15 minutes they met today. 15 minutes. Absolutely ridiculous.
Thank you for coming down.
We're only 7 days. No, I'm sorry, 7 days. 9 days away from the start of spring training games. We should all be in there. So I hope you guys can hear me. I always pick the wrong place to do this. I did not see that speaker up there. So games are supposed to start on the 26th. They've got to get these camps open by March not to have games affected in the regular season. And they're far apart on everything. They're nowhere near where they need to be as far as this silly bonus structure that the players want for the top 115 players. The owners are offering it to the top 30, and it's all based on your WAR and whatnot. First of all, WAR is, who cares? These stupid numbers and billionaires and millionaires fighting it over money, whether it be in bonuses for the top 115 players, whether it be minimum salaries. I'm more likely to fall on the player's side when it comes to minimum salary. But they're still far apart on this. They're far apart on the arbitration eligibility for players. They're far apart on the compensation. The competitive balance tax, right? And what the guidelines should be, and what the penalty should be if you do not meet them. They're like nowhere. And baseball has this history, although there's been no problems for 20 years, no labor strike for 20 years. The gold watches for $19.99 for sale. Are you done, Simon? I'm going to let Simon finish up. Oh, Deal or No Deal is coming to the stage too. So I'll get to your comments here in a second, guys. Are you done, Simon? Okay, bye, Simon. Oh my God. All right, guys. So anyway, back to what I was talking about. Nowhere's near where they need to be. In past labor negotiations, and yes, there's been labor peace for 20 years, but you get the people in charge now, Rob Manfred, by the way, and we're not going to survive his stewardship as a commissioner the way things are going. I just don't know where we're heading. I mean, baseball players and owners don't ever seem to be able to come to agreements until there's a gun held to their head. You know, we talked about this a few weeks ago. The owners want to get federal mediation involved. The players say no. And I don't see any good that comes of getting the federal government involved in these negotiations whatsoever. The last time they did this, we lost the World Series in 1994. Not something that we want to be looking at today, and not something that we want to be looking at going forward. It's not going to move this process any faster. See what we got here as far as comments on the baseball goes. Juan Soto turned down a $13 deal for the Nats before the lockout ended. Well, there's a few guys that had offers on the table that turned things down, and who knows? It may work out for them, Alan. It may not. I don't really know where this all is going to shake out. You know, and think about, you know, not just these long-term contracts, and this is where these teams go down the drain. The owners, I don't know who you feel sorry for here. How do you feel sorry for players, you know, who are making an exorbitant amount of money? And again, I don't have a problem with guys getting paid. I really don't. You're worth what somebody's willing to pay you. But then you got dumb owners who are giving guys 13-year contracts. And they're giving guys who are 30 years old 10-year contracts. Look at the end of Albert Pujols' career with the Angels. Look at CC Sabathia at the end with the Yankees. Still a good competitive pitcher, but not the guy he was. And these guys are getting paid at the end of these contracts for performances that they made in the 10 years prior. And the owners have got to get smart with what they're doing. But every time they try to get smart, you know, we talk about collusion. So look, the baseball's heading towards ruination if things don't change. They've already slipped well behind football as the most popular sport. They're in danger of falling behind even basketball, which at times is unwatchable, for crying out loud. When is baseball going to get smart and understand that they're losing an entire generation of fans, both through the way the game is played today, which doesn't even resemble what I grew up playing, at times. I shouldn't say always, but at times, right? I mean, some of the ways, every rule that's been put into baseball, and I've talked about this a gazillion times since 1968, is in favor of the hitters. And if what they want is a video game type atmosphere, and every game is 9-8, and 5 home runs and 20 strikeouts, well, then continue what you're doing, Rob, me and Fred. So between the way they've changed the way the game is played on the field and the way they're just, they cannot figure out how to split up billions of dollars amongst the owners and the players, it's just nonsensical. And I don't know where it's going to end. And I don't know that it's going to end here in the next couple of weeks, so that we are not going to miss games. And if games are affected, real games, forget about the spring training games, but you've got to get into spring training to be able to start the regular season. If this impacts the regular season and it costs games, if there's not a 162 game season, I guarantee you they're going to feel this at the turnstiles. They're going to feel this with the eyeballs on the TVs, and it's not going to be pretty for either side. And they should get off their high horses and figure this out. You should be able to get together, grown men, grown adults with this much money available, should be able to figure this out. It's before it comes to the point that you're going to lose games. I don't know what they can possibly be thinking about. Dave Gayette. They don't realize the fans will suffer. Well, they do realize, and they don't care, right? I mean, I'm sorry, Dave, to break this to you, but they don't care about you. They don't care about me. If they did, they would not be doing this. These fans are getting gouged every way you turn around. And again, I don't care if owners want to pay guys, and they can do it with TV money, great. If they got to raise prices, great. You can still find places to go to ball games for a reasonable price, right? So the money they use to pay these guys is coming from TV deals and not from the money at the turnstiles. That money's going in the pockets of the owners. And one of the places I'll agree with the players on, and it's one of the few places I can agree with them on, is the competitive balance tax. You can't be taxing teams like the Yankees or the Mets or the Dodgers or the Phillies for going over the salary cap and having to pay to the small market teams the penalty, and then those small market teams put the money in their pocket. They shouldn't have to supplement the income of those teams. That's not what the rules are for. The rules are for the Royals get money to, I don't know what other teams you want to use. The Royals, the Brewers, the Pirates, I guess, are all smart market teams that ought to be taking that money. This is what it's supposed to be used for, and that's making your team better. And too many of these teams don't do that type of thing. The money goes into, their pockets. And, this is a good, we talk about dumb owners. The Mets still have Bobby Bonilla Day, I think. I don't have the date in front of me. It's either in June or July. And I think they're paying him still for another 10 years or something. Every single year they have pay him $1 million or whatever it might be every year. And, that's something that Steve Cohen should have some fun with and and maybe have a Bobby Bonilla Day and celebrate it every day at City Field. Again, very good example of how owners forever, this is a new phenomenon, stupid owners who give out stupid contracts. There's Jamie's got the date, July 1st, right? Steve Cohen should have some fun with this. This is a place I can really see them having some fun, having a Bobby Bonilla Day, bring him into the stadium. He probably is he's probably weighs about 400 pounds today. I shouldn't be, so that's kind of rude, I guess. But I think it'd be interesting to have him parade him around the stadium, give him his check for $1 million, and then, say goodbye to him for another year. I think that'd be very interesting. The other side of this, this whole lockout, we talked, I really think this is going to impact regular season games. And what you have to remember is there's going to be more injuries because of the shortened spring training. especially if this lingers on another 2 weeks or even a month or whatever it is. You're not going to have the type of spring training, no matter what, that you would have had. That's one issue outside of all the issues they're trying to negotiate. But let's not remember how many guys. Look at all the guys that are free agents, and we'll jump into this in the next couple of weeks. And I hope to get Larry Sorensen on, by the way, former Milwaukee Brewers pitcher, St. Louis Cardinals pitcher. He's also one of the great friends of TGI Sports Talk. He's a play-by-play announcer for the Wake Forest baseball and Wake Forest football teams. So I'd like to get Larry on, hopefully, maybe next Sunday when I'm back in the studio to talk about this situation. Larry was involved in some labor disputes during his heyday in the major leagues, both in, I think, 1972 might have been early for Larry to be involved, but he certainly was involved in 81. So we can certainly talk to him about that in this current situation, which I'd like to do. Let's not forget, though, as I started to say, it's starting to seem like the Stream of Consciousness show now. But that's what happens when you have a few beers and go on the air. Not trying to take your gig away from you, Pegs, I promise you. Once this lockout ends, you're going to have a feeding frenzy of these guys that are still out there that are free agents and teams that still have lots of work to do. The Yankees have a lot of work to do. I'm guessing from what I can think off the top of my head, Pags' Phillies are going to have a lot to do. But they're not the only ones. Other than the Mets, who made a flurry of moves before the lockout started, most of these teams did not make major. The Rangers were another one. Most of them did not make major moves. They're waiting to see what happened with this whole new CBA. And there's going to be a flurry of activity, and these teams had better be ready to make a move quickly. And I'm not confident in my Yankees being able to do this and get some deals done and fill the holes that they need to fill, to be honest with you. And I don't know, who your guys' teams are. Alan may be a Texas Ranger fan. I'm guessing, Alan, I think, based on some of our conversations, but we'll see. Every July 1st, Bobby Bonilla throws the first pitch out. The GM has to be there to give him the check before the game. I'm trying to think who the GM was then. Joe McElvain is sticking in my head. I'm not really sure, but he's the one that's sticking in my craw. I mean, and that was one of the worst teams the money could ever buy that they put together there after some great Mets teams. By the way, if you're a Mets fan, and I'll digress to a different topic for a second. If you're a Mets fan and you have ESPN Plus, you've got to watch Once Upon a Time in Queens. I'm not a Mets fan, but I enjoyed watching this. It's a 4-part, I think, miniseries about the 86 Mets, the putting together the team, the season itself, and then kind of how it fell apart. So it's a very, very interesting, very raw look at this team. Both at its how good they were and the flaws of some of these guys as individuals. It dives deep into the Darryl and Doc issues, and Lenny Dykstra in this thing is just, I mean, this poor guy is rough. Alan's a Rangers and Cubs fan. Well, one of your teams has certainly made some bold moves early. The Cubs, I don't know what's going on with them, but we'll see how that goes later on. Steve Gold, welcome to the game, Stephen, welcome to the show, Stephen Gold. We're still live here on the Carnival Magic, but welcome. Stephen has a great group and Stephen, if you can post a name, because I'm not going to remember it. I believe it's Remembering the ABA. I'm going to say Remembering the ABA 1967 to 1976. You tell me how close I am, Stephen. You can certainly feel free to plug it, and I'll put it up here for you. He's talking about Cashman needed to be replaced a decade ago, but the bottom line for Hal is money and whether the Yanks win or lose the secondary. I don't disagree. Cashman, look at, this is certainly something I've talked about and I'll continue to talk about. I think both Cashman and Boone should have gone last year. Cashman probably should have gone in the past. I won't disagree with you, Stephen. This is a team that's won as many world championships as the Marlins since 2003. How can that possibly be? How can you have one? This is the Yankees we're talking about, not the Kansas City Royals, not the Chicago Cubs, not the Texas Rangers. Sorry, Alan, I don't mean to pick on both your teams. But you can't win one World Series in 19 years. I don't know if I'm doing my math right anymore. They won one World Series in over 19 years. They were in the World Series in 2003, so they've been in 2 World Series and won one in the last 19 years. That's not okay. Not in the Bronx. Guys have been fired for much worse records than that. And if you're okay, Yankee fan, and when's the last time they won the division, by the way? If you're okay making the playoffs in a wild card and going out in the first round and maybe getting to the ALCS championship, every 5 years, well, then let's keep Cashman and let's keep Boone in place. Boone, I lost all respect for. I liked Aaron Boone when he was hired. I didn't think Aaron Boone did a horrible job for the most part. I was not happy that he didn't hold guys accountable more, making too many excuses for horrendous base running, horrendous decision making on the field in post-game press conferences. But the final straw for me was after the season when he allowed the team, they allowed him to come back, but only if he would allow them to revamp his coaching staff for him, and fired most of his coaches, except for maybe 1 or 2, including his best friend in all of baseball, Phil Nevin. So if you're willing to throw your coaches under the bus to keep your job, it's so funny. I think I had the same rant when I was on this ship in October. Then I have no respect for you. And you need to move on. You really do. So, Stephen, give me your ABA website, because I'd love to plug it here today, and we'll certainly do some more with that. One of the fun, and you go back on Facebook and look through the videos and catch the one that Remember the ABA show that I did with Stephen and oh God, Stephen, who's our guy? The guy from the Horace Clark group, Horace Clark years, Yankee group. Gerard, I'm forgetting his first name now. Help me out. Anyway, I would love to have you guys watch this, because it was a lot of fun. What's Stephen got here? The only thing you can say, 20th century Yankees did not win until 23 years into the century, but Boone and Cashman need to go ASP. Well, I agree. I'm not going to disagree with either of that. Either of those assessments. It's unfortunate as a Yankee fan, and I'll be diving more into it as we go forward. It's unfortunate the situation that we find ourselves in, and I'm just not terribly happy with, as a Yankee fan, with the direction this team is going in. And I've gotten myself in some trouble with some of the vlogs and whatnot that I've done and posted to the Yankee groups. I mean, if all you want is, rose-colored glasses and positive stuff and, and sunshine about where the Yankees are and what the Yankees have been doing, well, then that's what we'll do. But I'm not doing that. I'm going to tell you where I see the problems, and I will continue to do that. And I'll do it not just with the Yankees, but in all of baseball. I'm going to have Kevin Kernan on pretty soon. We're going to do some interviews. I mean, the way we're set up to do the Roku now, and I'll be talking a little about Mac about it. I want to get some more on-demand stuff, and the interviews will, maybe the Are You Serious will turn into, I hope it to be a regular Friday show rather than the interviews we were doing. But I don't want the interviews to fall by the wayside entirely. I enjoyed doing those interviews, and some of it was on contemporary stuff, and I'd have guys like Kevin Kernan, former writer for the Post, on, and we would dive into these issues with baseball. And we had guys from the past that we had on, and I do want to get some of them on. So I've got a couple guys lined up to do some interviews. So it's just going to be a matter of whether those shows are going to be part of the regular schedule, whether they're going to be on-demand stuff on Roku. But they'll always be live when we do them on Facebook. I can guarantee you that. Here it is. I almost got it right. Honoring and remembering the ABA 1967 to 76 is Stephen Golds. He's the founder and the moderator of this group. And it's really, I'll tell you, if you remember the ABA, I know it's a little off topic for today's show, but it's really a great, great show. And up to 20,000 members now. Phenomenal numbers, Stephen. You're doing a great job over there. And we'll certainly do a follow-up to the show that we did last spring. We had a lot of fun with that. Good point, Alan. We'll bring this up before we wrap up here today. One of the Mets' big nemesis with the Nationals, who, his career hasn't been tremendous the last few years as it's been winding down. He's had some ups and downs, but Ryan Zimmerman, great player with the Nationals for a long time, has announced his retirement from baseball. And again, you don't see a lot of guys who stay in one place for their entire career anymore. And it's when it happens, you need to recognize it, I think, and say, job well done. So a very, very good job well done as well. So, and Steven's looking forward to getting together and maybe having another chat. What is Gerard's name? What is his first name? Damn it. He's going to kill me when he sees this. I can't switch off and look because I'm on my phone. And once I leave this screen, you guys lose me. So, unlike when I'm in my studio. So again, guys, sorry if I wanted to say this a few times because when I see this, you guys see this Friday, not going to be able to make any comments, unfortunately. So if you watch this far and I haven't responded to your comments, you know why. Because we're on the Magic and I know I'm not going to have any reception. Plus I've got some spa stuff going on tomorrow morning. I'm not going to be able to do the show live, and I'm having some trouble with the internet once we reach a certain part of the Caribbean here. And I know I'm going to have it tomorrow morning. So no live show tomorrow. The show will re-air it at 5 o'clock. At 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. It will also air on Roku at 12 o'clock tomorrow. I will have my weekly vlog, which will air on these outlets at 4 p.m. tomorrow. And also will be available, next week when I get back and get all the stuff sent to Mac again. We'll air on demand on Roku. Unfortunately, I probably won't be able to make my Friday or Sunday appearances with the Mac and Jack team. I did hear that Jamie Paggs, the Philly sports guy, will be co-hosting tomorrow on Mac and Jack. So that'll be a great show. Watch that. Mac and Jack are great. And when Paggs is involved, it's certainly a plus. So what's Alan got here? You know what? Good point. An excellent, kind of a decent segue from what I was talking about with the Once Upon a Time in Queens. Matt Harvey is a cautionary tale, just like Doc Gooden in a way. I mean, he never reached the heights that Doc Gooden reached, obviously, but now it's come out that, he was doing a lot of opioids, and it's come out during the trial from the Tyler Skaggs tragic death. And some lawsuits that are going on involving I think MLB and the Angels, or at least the Angels. And now Matt Harvey's name's been dragged into it as far as being involved with drugs and alcohol. I think we've known for some time there's been other issues with Harvey. There's been whispers out there, and now it's coming into full light. And it's another cautionary tale of a great, talented athlete who just throws it all away. And it's really, really sad when you see this type of thing happen. And I certainly don't like seeing it. Whether you like guys or you don't like guys, it's not fun to see. So that's that. All right, guys, without any further comments, again, here's what we're going to have tomorrow. You'll have this show replayed at 8. So again, if you've been commenting, I'm sorry you won't hang on. George, yeah. George Garaza. Sorry about that, George. If you see this, I apologize tremendously. I don't have all my usual notes in front of me when I'm on the deck of a cruise ship. I usually can find something quickly to giving me some recall. At 62 years old, my recall is not nearly what it used to be. So anyway, so thanks for giving me that, and we'll certainly. I want to get George on again to talk about the Horace Clark site and those years. I love talking about the 70s baseball. We had Philip Bosch on to talk about that. He wrote a book called The Dog Days, which was a very good book about the Yankees, from 1964 through them winning again in 1976. So that was a lot of fun. And I would love to talk more about those topics as well. So we'll do some of that. We're going to get back into some interviews as we head deeper into the new year, and I get myself settled with some things going on and with the real job front, and just get settled in a little bit. We'll certainly do a lot of that. So one more time, again, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for the groups that are going to allow me to share this. I probably won't share it until after it airs tomorrow at 8 a.m., re-airs tomorrow at 8 a.m. But watch it on Roku. Guys, if you're not watching the shows on Roku, or people that would watch if they knew it was on Roku, get them to download the app, either with a Roku stick, if they got a Roku TV. All they have to do is search for the Northeast Streaming Sports app, and you'll get to watch all the great shows like TGI Sports Talk, like the Philly Sports Talk, Philly Sports Guys shows, and Mac and Jack, and Captain Jack, and Larry Frank, and Frankly Speaking Sports, and there's a ton of other shows. Guys, I don't mean to leave anybody out, but there's just a ton of shows. So get yourselves in a position where you can download that Northeast Streaming Sports app on Roku, and I promise you won't be disappointed. So make sure that you do that, and we'll be on there, as I said, tomorrow at noon. Sorry, I spun myself around a little bit, and then Sunday we'll be hopefully live, probably for the first time on Roku. So thank all of you guys, all the groups, all of you guys, Alan, Stephen, Jamie Pags, David Guyette for commenting today and showing up. And for those of you that comment tomorrow and I'm not able to respond, I'll do my best to catch up on the comments when I can. So this is Keith Engel for TGI Sports Talk right here on the Northeast Streaming Sports Network. This has been Are You Serious? Carlos Chavez will return with me next Friday. We'll see what topics we can debate and whether I can stay calm during that entire show or not. We'll try to see a Sunday with the Sunday Stream of Consciousness right here on Northeast Streaming Sports. Keith Engel for TGI Sports Talk. We'll see you later. Bye-bye. Live from the Carnival Magic.